guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to do something that we've never really done on the channel before. It's a straight up kind of Q&A, ask me anything or say anything. I asked you guys on my community tab poll, what do you want to say? Or what do you want to ask me? And I have a few of those comments in today's video that I will be responding to. I would say about half of these are going to be on a personal level, questions about myself. If you don't care about those, the good news is they do have those handy dandy little chapter things or whatever when you scrub the video. So I will go ahead and timestamp where it's raid only topics for you guys who don't care about yours truly. Shame on you. I kid. So I'm just going to start with some general things or a little bit of criticism, I guess, to start things out. And then we'll jump into the personal stuff and then we'll go on to the raid stuff. So anyway, guys, jumping right into it here. I skipped the first few seconds of your videos, says
Merdad Hashemi.
No pressure.
Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name with all due respect. I skipped a few seconds of your videos. I love your energy, but you only need it throughout the video. So like kind of the personal stuff at the beginning of my videos that I tend to do. I totally get it that it's not going to be for everybody, so I certainly don't take offense to that at all. I expect a certain amount of people to just skip past that stuff anyway. We have Moonlion says, I regret starting to play 6 months ago. The excitement has worn off. Lesson learned, do not play an old game without spending. There is no progress. Watching someone with hundreds or even thousands of shards is annoying. I will get looking for a newly released game that I can free to play and make progress. Honestly, Raid is a trash game that is only getting worse for the poor.
Go.
I'm going to erase you from existence.
First of all, totally fair point of view in terms of like definitely can get a lot more out of this game if you spend, or at least faster. But there's a lot, I mean, I hear from hundreds, thousands of you guys who are free to play and enjoy the game. I think a lot of it is kind of what you make of it. You know, if you're comfortable, you know, just kind of not spending money on the game, then maybe you can enjoy it, and maybe you can't. And I would encourage anybody who can't enjoy the game or feels that way to not play it, you know, because if a game is affecting your mental outside the game, then it's no longer a game. It's not for your enjoyment, and you're frustrated. So what sense does it make? We have Sean Erickson says, it's one thing to be positive, but let's keep it real too. Real eyes, realize. So, I mean, I certainly, I mean, obviously I'm biased, right? But like, and I'm definitely one to self-criticize. You'll see a lot of that in this video, I'm sure. But my whole thing is I don't try to be like blindly positive at all. I mean, I make, you know, according to some of you guys, too many videos being critical of the game. And I'm not blindly positive in life, like outside of Raid Shadow Legends either. There's plenty of things that make me sad or mad. I'm human just like anybody else, right? But I also recognize that we control how we feel at any given moment, right? So I always try to practice getting better at not letting things out of my control impact my happiness on the day-to-day. Not perfect. I don't always succeed in that. Here we go with the last guy or gal. It is Harrier! Get the heck out of my face, Harrier! You scumbag! Have you brought me all this bad luck? God, I hate this champion.
Don't think I can take it.
But that's what I try to do. I don't know about you, Ash, but the complaints about the game taking too much time is getting old. Sounds like people need to stop playing and find a new game. This screams the issue of today's culture. I don't want to put any time into something. I just want my rewards now. I am enjoying the game as it is and watching my teams progress each day, says Mark Weskin. So, very interesting comment here, right? It was certainly one that we don't get a lot here on the channel. I'll say two things. Number one is man, I mean, I'm in my 40s now, you know, so I'm starting to get a little bit of the old man vibes a little bit, right? So I kind of agree with this. I don't want to put any time. I just want my rewards now, and everything has to be my way and blah, blah, blah. You know, my feelings and sensitivity. Like, I totally get that, and I really empathize with it. However, I will say with Raid, I'm playing the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with my son, and there's a begin point and there's an end point, and it would probably take you 2,000 hours or more to explore everything in between, right? But Raid's different, man. There's a beginning point, there's no end point, and they just keep adding stuff, and there's special events every week or whatever, more than every week. There's fusions. There's this innate pressure to do things and to check out the new content that are constantly adding. To their credit, new content is pretty cool, new dungeons, etc., etc. But that does come at some sort of a time, cost, and especially when there's this emphasis on doing everything daily, the daily missions, the daily keys, everything resets daily, not everything, but most things reset daily or weekly in the game. So when they keep adding more and more stuff, I also understand the other side of this, right? Where it'd be nice because not everybody I enjoy Raid Shadow Legends, man. I wouldn't be covering it. I don't have to cover this game, more on that in a moment. But I wouldn't be doing this YouTube channel if I didn't enjoy the game, And for all its faults, I still enjoy it at the end of the day. So I get that, right? And I get the overall sentiment here. But in Raid, I feel like, okay, when they're going to add a bunch of stuff they expect us to do to have a healthy account or whatever, or like what we feel compelled to do to keep up with the clanmates, the Joneses, right? I feel like it'd be nice if they also compensated some of that time that we lose because, we want to enjoy the game, but sometimes the most enjoyable things about this game are just exploring, meaning that like building different teams, trying out different artifact sets, blah, 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 blah. Like, I think that people don't mind, like spending extra time doing that. It's not a time issue per se. It's that I don't want to spend 3 hours of my raid time watching the same team fight the same bosses every single day. There's not much, at least to me, I'm speaking for myself, not much enjoyment in that. Brian Roberts, 757 says, okay, you said to be critical, so I will. I didn't say be critical, but I said you can be, so okay, well, fair enough. You're a 30-something-year-old man, his full-time job is video games on YouTube. I don't know whether I should take this one like one sentence at a time or just respond to it in its entirety. Let me just read the whole thing first. You're a 30-something-year-old man, his full-time job is a video game on YouTube. Are you embarrassed? You're always positive, but you haven't gone through anything in life. You make videos. Try a real job. Listen, I like some of your videos. Thanks, Brian. But I always have thought the positivity was a bit much considering how well you have it in life. Try being a normal person for a day and talk to me. It's a little pathetic. Am I pathetic? I don't know. I will say one thing about the pathetic line. When my son was born, 6 years ago, the nurse in the ER, I've told the story before, but the nurse in the ER or whatever was like, okay, what's mom's profession? What's dad's profession for the birth certificate or whatever? And like, I did feel, I'm not going to lie, I did feel a little pathetic. At the time, I didn't have my company, right? I'll tell you a little bit more about me when we get to the About Me section. But I was a full-time YouTuber for that, 2-year period in life. And I felt like saying you're a YouTuber to a doctor and nurse at the hospital was almost like in their minds probably equivalent to like unemployed, you know what I'm saying? So I did feel a little pathetic being like, I'm a YouTuber, ma'am.
Are you like a crazy person?
That aside, let's take it quickly line by line. 30-something-year-old man, I'm 40-something-year-old man. Full-time job with YouTube on video games on YouTube. Not my full-time job. This is just I really truly treat it as a hobby. Of course, I do make some income from it as well, which is nice because it helps supplement the shard openings and all the crap that I do here, right? Are you embarrassed? Absolutely not. You're always positive. You haven't gone through anything in life. And even if I was full-time YouTube, I wouldn't be embarrassed, to be clear. You're always positive, but you haven't gone through anything in life. Dude, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name everything I've gone through in life, right? That's not what I'm trying to do with this comment. But I will say that I've experienced incredible loss, incredible tough times, really awful periods of depression. I lost 3 of my immediate family, my sister, my brother, and my mother, and I don't say that like, I hate to even say stuff like that because it makes it seem like, oh, I have it so bad, because it's not really about that, like comparing who has things worse. I always thought that was really dumb in life, nor do I want sympathy or anything like that for that. But it is reality, right? But more importantly, it's like, I feel like, listen, this is just an internet comment on YouTube. So like, whatever, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I've been doing this for 10 years, I've seen it all, gotten it all, right? But it does shine a light on people nowadays saying that like, you haven't gone through anything in life to random people on the internet, but you don't know anything about somebody on the internet, like, how does he know that? I don't get it. Because I'm making a YouTube video on a video game? I don't get it. You make videos, try a real job. I mean, again, 20 plus years working blue collar real jobs here in the experience, right? I I had 16 years in the United States Postal Service, so I was a mailman. Loved the job. I actually dropped out of college because they were paying like, I don't know, $20 an hour or something, you know, and I was like, I made it in life. So I dropped out of college, and back in like 2003, 2004, started the post office. And then I would just like, I made the best of it. Like a lot of people, a lot of mailmen. I worked in a big city. I didn't even have a vehicle for most of the part. I had like a push cart mailman in like a rotten area of a big city, right? But I loved it because I would just listen to audiobooks and podcasts all day, every day. You know, I miss it for that reason. You know, I became like the world's biggest bookworm, and honestly, educating myself. I learned more through audiobooks being a mailman than I did through college. High school. I know that's kind of sad to say, and it's not, and I have so much respect for teachers and stuff like that, you know? So it's not about that, but I took, you know, the Great Courses. You ever heard of it? I don't know. It's basically the best college professors in America and around the world, some UK professors too. They basically just give free college education. You just don't get the diploma, which is so ridiculous, right? But I listened to like hundreds of them, you know, and I listened to every biography that I ever dreamed of. And I just learned so much just through self-education, you know, and it was awesome. Anyway, it was a blue collar job though, in the rain, sleet, or snow, you know, a lot of snow in my area. So anyway, I say that to like, yeah, I have had a quote unquote real job quite a bit, most of my life. I like some of your videos, but I thought the positivity was a bit much considering how well you have it in life. Try being a normal person for a day and talk to me. It's pathetic. So again, you know, that's my response to that. Most of it is just kind of like making assumptions about people, you know, which is, I think, we'll more on that in a little bit. Let's get to the personal stuff. So I guess that last question was, in a way, kind of personal, but I was just whetting your appetite, boys and girls. So the next one here is, I put this one in here. Love you, dude. Your positivity and affection gets me through so many shitty days. Keep on going. Because, like, honestly, thank you, Chaz. And thank you, everybody who left, like, positive comments. I mean, I picked out that negative one on the last comment. But the truth be told is, like, 99% were, like, a lot of love, appreciation, and, like, the fact that I've been able to connect with some of you guys like that through a YouTube channel covering a gacha game is really incredible. And it's what gives me the true meaning of continuing to do this on the channel. Like, seriously, can't state that enough. So thank you. I just included one of the nice comments because I'm not about here to sit here and for a half an hour and be like, you're amazing, Ash. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you. But I appreciate it, guys.
I would watch that.
Every video I always say you always look so happy and excited to do this. What motivates you so? Exactly what I just said. You know, connecting with some of you guys, seeing the positivity from some of you guys. You know, I'm not the best. I've never claimed to be the best Raid Shadow Legends savant out there. Of course, I've learned a lot. When I look back at even content like a couple years ago here on the channel, I really cringe. I kind of just jumped into Raid Shadow Legends just for the heck of it. You know, like I didn't overthink things too much. And that's sometimes in life, you just got to do things and you get better as you go, right? Like you just got to do it though. Otherwise, you're never going to do it. So I made a raid channel and the content sucked really bad for a couple years, which is, again, awful. But long story short is I feel like I'm getting a lot more knowledgeable about the game, especially this last like year and a half or so. But I think that improving on the content makes me feel better. Making a connection with you guys, even if it's, you know, just on the internet or whatever, like feeling like I'm making a little bit of a positive impact selfishly makes me feel really good. So I guess that's what motivates me. The Repo Man, as a content creator, how do you manage time playing Raid? Do you focus on making content or is there still time for fun? Raid Shadow Legends, besides Zelda with my son, is the only game that I play. And that's it. So I love retro games like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, that kind of era. Basically, I think that you guys, you younger folk, when you grow up, you'll probably look back really nostalgic at the games that you're playing right now as well. Even the games that you don't love right now, there'll be some nostalgias because they were around in that time of your life. But anyway, so I like retro games. I don't play a heck of a lot of them though. So I play Raid, honestly, while I'm working in the background. Not all the time, but some of the time. I play it at the gym sometimes. I do my clan boss battles when I'm driving to the gym in the morning. I just kind of weave it through my day. I'm sure like most of you guys do. And just by playing Raid Shadow Legends, I come up with video ideas in my head. I'm like, hey, this is kind of a cool idea. I'll do that, right? Next one, Zachary Ford says, you always stated that you have a business or a lot of side work, please go into more detail about it. You always have given such small detail, never gave a full picture. Love you. Thank you so much, Zachary. Appreciate it. So I have the website pulled up here. Basically, I'm just going to try to do this quick because I'm not trying to take out a 20-minute ad on my video for the business, but this is our website, amg.gg, if you guys want to check it out. Again, amg.gg. My co-founder, some of you guys might know him. He started in Clash of Clans way back in 2015, covering it. Lance Frisbee, aka Powerbang Gaming on YouTube. Me and Lance, we struck up a friendship back in 2015 covering Clash of Clans. We started traveling together. We started doing a bunch of events together. Both had successful YouTube channels. I was covering Clash of Clans back then as well. And we struck up a really, really tight friendship. Became like really, really super close friends. My brother passed away in 2016, and Lance, we were not like super tight at that point, but he really came through for me, and he essentially crowdfunded to pay for my brother's funeral. Again, going back to that comment about how you don't know anybody, like I was raised in a pretty nice area, but like very, very poor in a nice area, which is kind of weird. And I'm not like comparing or whatever, but it was weird being like the only poor dude in a fairly wealthy area. But my parents really struggled to get by. And, they also were kind of just blue collar. My mom waitressed at night sometimes while trying to raise 3 kids, one with autism, massive behavioral issues, and all kinds of stuff, and my dad just kind of a bread salesman, So anyway, wham, a side tangent there. But anyway, I met Lance, and we struck it up, and we both kind of realized, right, that we're getting old on YouTube at the time, at least we felt, especially for our demos. And we're like, okay, what's next for us in life, right? We were part of the same talent agency. And then now this is our amazing team. We've built something amazing. It's one of the largest premier agencies and full service providers in the world. So I can't take any credit for it. Like we obviously founded the company and we bootstrapped the whole thing. And, most companies fail, especially, through COVID and everything like that. But we were successful. And honestly, we have this amazing team. These are our employees. These are all full-time workers. We're the real deal. We have benefits and everything else, and but it's really now, especially the last few years, it's really the team. I spend most of my time at AMG, right? And this is the team that works internally here. All amazing people. Like, that's the key to our success. It's just amazing, hard, incredible workers who have a lot of experience in the space. What do? We do a lot, guys. Real quickly, I'll show you our talent too. Sorry for the long, I'll wrap this up, but here's our talent that we represent really quickly here, guys. Our job is essentially to sell them, right? To sell them and help them, do the best that they can with the platforms that they have. We have like some of the raid guys as well in the community, so you guys can check out, again, the website and stuff if you'd like to. We have a lot of Minecrafters and stuff like that, but we do a lot more than that. We do influencer marketing, we do mobile gaming, we do event and production, we do live events, we do talent management, community programs, we have tech products that we sell, creator education programs that we sell, quite a bit of stuff. So again, not here to give you the full, the full speech, the full pitch, but obviously that takes up the majority of my time, and that is what AMG does, and that's my full-time gig. So on a day-to-day, I'm not sure if anybody asks me this, but on my day-to-day, I probably spend, as crazy as it sounds, I have 3 channels that I upload on every day: the Raid Champion Guides, the Raid Shadow Legends channel, and the Clash of Clans channel, maybe like a few times a week on that channel at this point. But I probably spend, I'm almost embarrassed to say, I probably spend like an hour and a half a day on content.
Move this man!
And then the rest of my time all goes to AMG or my son. I have my son half-time. So like 50-50 split. And when I'm with my son, I try to be only with my son. Like obviously I have to take a call here and there or have a big meeting or a pitch here and there, but most of the time I try to really allocate that time totally non-working. It's a weird life being a single dad since he was 1, More on that in a bit. Which EverQuest did you play and what race and class? Bashir Warrior is my guess. No, I played EverQuest way back in the early days. I played with who went on to be the lead designer, who then I think his reputation was kind of ruined in all the Activision Blizzard drama and stuff like that. But so I won't name his name, but I was in one of the top clans in the Vishan server in EverQuest. I was a high elf wizard named Yulian. And that's that. It was a cool time. It was that was the only time in my whole life that I was really, really hooked on a game, probably to an unhealthy level. That was back in 99 to 2001, 2002, around that time period. If Raid weren't in existence, what goals would you pursue and what games would you play? I'd probably play retro games, as I said earlier. You know, I'm a retro gamer. I find new games a little intimidating and daunting. I like the simplicity and the replayability of kind of just, you know, old platform games or old RPGs. So I think that if you like something, if you really enjoy something, sometimes that's enough, and I enjoy that stuff. So that's probably what I would do in terms of gaming. What goals would I pursue? I really want to do more. I mean, you guys already know that charity is important to me, but I really want to do more there too. So that's definitely something that I would pursue. How do you feel about being in the position you are currently, more specifically with your Raid channels, or with your channels on Raid and Clash, but being such a major part of Aftershock, and where you have grown in relation to Raid? I look at YouTube's as more of a hobby. It started as a hobby, it changed briefly to a career, and now it's back towards being kind of a hobby. It's nice to have that income stream as well, I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, it's something that I don't need, which is really, really nice, you know? My Clash channel is not doing so hot. I mean, it's not bad. The views are higher than the Raid channel, but the Raid channel is definitely like my main focus right now. Elanix says, in your opinion, what's the best way to make income? Okay. I think the best way to truly make income is having people work for you instead of working for other people. So learn how to do one thing that a lot of people want, that a lot of people need, that not that many people know how to do very well. So, you know, just sticking with computer stuff. I mean, there's so many different things you could do in this regard, but you learn to, you know, you learn to make a product, you learn to code really well, or whatever it may be, and then you start teaching after you have like a client or two. And I think I'm a big fan of trying to work for free if you can in the very beginning. You'll learn a lot from people who you think are better than you. Surround yourself with people, even though it's intimidating, people who do something a little bit better than you, right? So you can learn from them. Like that little kid playing basketball every day against his big brother and losing every day. And then eventually they go play with their peers and they're a lot better because they're used to playing with somebody who's a lot better. The same thing goes with business and work and everything like that. So to make income, you learn a craft, or you learn something that you specialize in. And then once you have a few clients, a few relationships, and you feel like you're good at it, you train other people to do it, and then you sell their services as their manager, and you become kind of the manager of the operation. You get what I'm saying? So you learn to do something, you train others to do it, and then you sell their time instead of your own. And then it can be exponential in that way, you know? What does your average day look like? How do you balance everything? I try to get up early. So that changes depending on if I have my son or not, but, you know, at least 7 o'clock at the latest. And then I go to the gym every single morning. I go to the gym 7 days a week, not because it's the best strategy. It's not. You should give yourself rest. I need it mentally. It's a mental thing for me now, you know? So I go to the gym. I play Raid a little bit in the gym, right? Sometimes I'll take a call at the gym. I know it's it's a frowned upon etiquette-wise, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And then I'll go home and I'll work most days. I'll work every day until when I get my son. And that's it. That's my life. Try to do something fun on the weekends here and there. I just want to thank you for all your do. Let's see. This is another nice comment that I wanted to share with you guys. Like, again, this one really resonated. This really struck me, I should say. Your well wishes before each video highlight how each of us can look forward to what we get when we ding a new one drops a video. My father recently passed away after a long bout with cancer. He was a passionate man who loved all things comics and fantasy, a passion he passed on to me and my children. I see your enthusiasm for all things Raid, and it reminds me of the vigor with which he would speak of his most recent find. He never played Raid to my knowledge, but I'm sure he would have loved to watch your videos to see not only better his account, but also brighten his day. That really means that's why I do this, man. That's why I do this, and obviously my condolences to you as well for the passing of your father. But to answer the earlier question, that's why I do this stuff. RM says, quick question for you. If you listen to everything on 2x speed, how are you able to appreciate audiobook narratives performing in fictional stories? Well, the one thing about me, I'm not a fiction hater at all, but I probably listen to like 95% nonfiction. So, with that being said, I actually mentioned that in a video. I was like, because I was watching a YouTube video in 2x speed and I shared it with you guys. I had to slow it down. I think it was a Cirilla Scratch interview. I don't listen. I misspoke. I don't listen to everything on 2x speed. I listen to some things on 2x speed that I want to consume quickly, but I don't feel like I don't need the gravity of every word to really resonate with me. But if I'm really digging something, like I am right now, I think I mentioned I'm reading or listening to the Ulysses S. Grant biography. It's like 50 hours long. I'm halfway through, and I'm loving it, so I don't want it to end. So I'm single time speed, you know? Sometimes if the narrator is especially slow, I'll go like 1.25. How'd you get started creating content? Me and the wife have a podcast at The Paranormal Lovers. Very cool. Shout out. If I can find you guys, I'll try to remember to link it in the description. Would like to know how you made the decision to do this. Super humble beginnings. Back in 2014, I was playing Clash of Clans. I decided to start figuring out how the heck I can get my stuff from the mobile device to the computer to YouTube. I figured it out and I just started throwing it up there. I used literally a voice memo on my phone at the time to like talk over whatever was going on. And then I would email myself the file. I would lay it over in like Windows Movie Maker, the most basic editing software ever, upload it to YouTube, and that's how I got started. I didn't have any goals. I didn't think I would be successful in any way. Not that I thought I was gonna fail. I didn't want to be the next TikTok or YouTube star. I just kind of started doing it. Consistency would be my number one piece of advice. Consistency and trying to do things a little bit better every day. Kind of good life advice too, I guess, right? You said in a recent video, love music. You were stuck in a desert island. You could only have 3 albums to listen to for the rest of your life. What would they be? Oof. Oh man, I love music so much and I love every genre. I know everybody says that, but I really do. From metal to hip hop to classical, and I really mean it. Like meaning that I really love classical music. I really love, rap, like really deeply. Anyway, God, off the top of my head, I feel like a question like this, it comes down to, for me, like and this is music in general, like what kind of mood do I want to be in? What kind of vibes do I want to pick up on? And the nostalgia component is pretty big. What was I listening to at moments in my life that it just still resonates with me now today? So not to say that these are my favorite, choices, but the first things that come to mind, at least. Favorite meaning like of all time or anything like that. There's a million artists and albums that I love, but I would go with Billy Joel River of Dreams album, his last album. Just hit me in a time of life that I think was 93, that it just still resonates today. It's like I want to pick albums that I know every word to every song. So I'll go Billy Joel River of Dreams. I'll go Tupac All Eyes on Me, double CD, so I get double the bang for my buck, right, for my album choice. Massive fan of Tupac and 90s hip hop and even modern hip hop as well. And then I would go with something like a little bit more hard that still resonates with me. So I would go like Toxicity by System of a Down, another album that really just resonates quite a bit with me and where I was in life at that time. And love System of a Down, love Serj Tankian. So how often do you hit the gym? Every day? Are there any movies you plan to see in theaters this summer? Yeah, I'm not a big, like, massive series movie fan. I know, to all your dismay, I get so much hate on this. I used to mention it on streams when I streamed, but, like, I'm not a big fan of, like, a lot of popular things I'm not a big fan of. Like, I don't like superhero movies. Don't get mad at me. I don't really particularly like anime or anything like that. I don't like cartoons, so I'm sorry again, guys. It's just my preference. No hate. Anyway, I say that, but I do want to see the conclusion of Indiana Jones. So I forgot the name of the fifth one or whatever, but I saw him on Look Who's Talking with Chris Wallace. It's an interview program on HBO, on Max or whatever. And I was like, hey, Harrison Ford, man, like, he's got his idiosyncrasies, but he's 80 years old, man, and like it got me wanting to see the movie. So I want to see the new Indiana Jones, and I want to see Oppenheimer because I'm a pretty big fan. I'm not like a diehard fan of directors per se, but I really do like Christopher Nolan a lot, Inception and Interstellar and movies like that. So I do want to see Oppenheimer, about the dude who made the atomic weapon, right? I'd like to know some of your history, whatever you feel comfortable. Oh man, maybe that's another video for another day. We've done a lot of personal stuff, so let's jump into, well, we'll do this one. This is kind of a personal question too.
Why me? Why am I the only one?
I was wondering about your son relationship with both you have with his mom. What are your personal goals in the short term for the next 2 years in Raid or life? I'm not a big goal person, but I would like to have a little bit more free time to give back, to do things, to see people in real life, really, is what I'm yearning for right now in life. So much work isolated in an office or a studio on video calls every day. I think it's really bad for the human psyche. My relationship with my son's mom is great. I think she's a great mom, and he loves her, and that's all that matters, you know? Things didn't work out with us. We didn't, well, without going into too much information, it wasn't like a big planned thing, but it was, I think she's a great mom, and that's all that matters to me. And he gets along with her, I get along with her, and that's pretty much it. You know, like, I wish there was something more dramatic to share, but there's so many things that can be friction in relationships, especially with exes. I'm a big believer of trying to always, like, take a day and sit on things before acting out and trying to just be amicable for the child's sake, you know, and everything else. So anyway, let's move on to raid questions, guys. Okay, so on to the raid questions. What does an end game piece of gear look like? Best stats and substats, says rock and roll forever. It's all about set synergy, right, for end game gear. Same thing on the next question here. Yusuf Miracle, what does a really good piece of gear look like in the form of substats? Well, there's like 4 factors, right? There's the main stat, especially considering gauntlets and chest piece and boots, right? There's the main stat, there's the ascension stat, there's the substats, and then there's the artifact set that it belongs to, right? So the perfect piece in terms of endgame would need to synergize all of those things together. So let me give you an example, probably an obvious one, like when building a nuker. So let's talk about lethal gear or savage gear, it doesn't matter. The perfect piece would probably be like the most valuable piece that you could find, in my estimation, would be gauntlets. It would be crit damage gauntlets with crit rate substat, right? And then probably, assuming you're going to use it on attack-based champion, attack percentage as a substat as well. And then speed is pretty much always a good thing in like 95% of scenarios, unless like you're building a slow UDK or something like that in Stone Skin. There's exceptions to almost every rule in Raid. But again, you're thinking of the best case scenario. So I'm building a nuker, obviously. I want crit damage as the main stat. I want crit damage as the ascension stat. I want crit rate. I want speed. I want attack percentage as substats on that piece. And then the best case scenario would be like a quad roll of crit rate on there, right? So we get 80% plus the ascension of the crit damage, 100% crit damage, and then we get whatever, 27% crit rate, whatever the number is. That would be the best case scenario for that particular set, that particular artifact. Righteous gear, right? It's one of the best sets out there in the game. So one of the best pieces might be a resist chest. It gives you resist and speed. A resist chest with speed as a substat, with a quad roll of speed, right? That'd be the best case scenario. Or just a lot of survivability. So resist with resist ascension, defense percentage ascension, because you got to think, what type of champion would be wearing righteous gear? Someone where I want resist and somewhere where I want speed. So it could be like a reviver, a tanky reviver, like a Siphi or something like that, somebody with block debuffs. It could be a cleanser, right? A Mithrala or something like that. So what else would we want on that champion? We would want a lot of survivability, so defense percentage, HP percentage, and speed as substats, right? So those would be the best pieces of gear in the game, right? And it's going to be dependent on the set, the ascension, who's using it, all those factors. So there is no one answer. This is what an endgame artifact looks like. But obviously, anytime you can get a trip roll of speed on anything is generally a very, very good day. If you can get a quad roll, I've been playing for 4 years. I've obviously spent money on the game as well. I only have one quad speed roll on my entire account. It's on a perception attack weapon. But it's still incredibly good to get that much speed, obviously, in one piece of gear. So that's what you're going to be thinking about. First and foremost, I would prioritize, you know, getting your ascension up on all your speed boots. Start with speed sets. Go to perception, go to righteous, anything that's getting you a speed, divine speed, anything that's giving you a set bonus for speed. Start with the boots and try to get those speed stats, because a good start would be, in terms of great endgame artifacts, speed boots with speed ascension as part of a speed set, right? You could say the same thing about any set, by the way. Like bolster, we want HP percentage. The best case scenario would be HP percentage with HP percentage ascension with defense percentage and speed. You guys kind of get the point here. How is it that you're able to remain positive, says Troa, with Raid in its current direction of monetization in life? Also, thank you for the intros. Okay, so how can I stay positive covering a game that could be so negative at times? Well, it's pretty simple, and it's not going to be an answer that everybody loves or whatever, but like, first of all, I'm critical of Raid all the time. But at the end of the day, for me at least, I get that we put money into it, and people have a right to be emotionally involved in what they invest money into. I totally understand that argument. I've heard it from you guys before. However, It's just not the way that I want to, I don't know, I want to live my life. No, all due respect to anybody who does. But the day that I am letting a game affect my mental outside of playing the game, like, of course, I'm going to be frustrated while playing the game on any game for, you know, various reasons. But I don't let a video game make me upset in life. Like, I don't carry it into my day-to-day in any way. That's really it. So how can I remain positive covering Raid? Well, I release a lot of negative videos talking about what's wrong in the game. But generally speaking, I'm almost like, it feels weird, and it gives you a little bit of a taste for the sentiment of the player base to be a little bit embarrassed of admitting this. But again, I'll say it, dude. I really enjoy the game. I really enjoy the community. Really enjoy my audience, and that's it. So that's how I can stay positive. I like the game. Mega Green 48. Can or will you do a video on the state of Raid when it was first released versus the game that is today? Raid has a lot of issues back in the day that they've made workarounds or fixes for today. A comparison of what was versus what is would be awesome. Would you guys like to see that? It's not a bad idea. It's kind of a little bit outside the box, but definitely could do that. It's funny, you make a video like that, and it's just like, not that it's not the end of the world or anything like that, but a lot of people get upset at videos like that because it's like, dude, you're ignoring all the awful things in the game. But at the same time, Mega Green is absolutely right. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's a lot of fixes. The quality of life was garbage. If you think it's bad now, 4 years ago when I started playing, it was horrendous. So it would be an interesting video to take a look back, right? Same thing on my other channel. If you look at like Clash Royale, when I first started covering it, it cost resources just to battle. Well, how crazy is that? Imagine charging resources to,
That's life.
That's life.
Wait a second, forget it. Martins 3945 says, I know you've done some free-to-play videos in the past, but I'd love to see some in-depth guides still for the free-to-play, and maybe even see you create a new account and show your journey through it for new folks or old. Unpopular answer again for you guys, but I'm keeping it real, right? Is that I don't have time to start a free-to-play account. I don't have time to do... I feel like in Raid, it's one of two things to an extent. If you're going to cover it on YouTube, I should finish the sentence, right? Because if you're going to cover it on YouTube, you need content. And if you want content in this game, you need to either pay for it or use a lot of your time to do it. And frankly, I don't have a lot of time, but I am able to spend to the point where I can make content that would be relatable to most players. That's why I have my mini account, my previously free-to-play account, that now I buy chickens here and there so I can actually make that content with more relatable artifacts and stuff like that. I don't buy energy, I don't buy soul stones, I don't buy shards, I don't do shard openings on the account, but I do allow myself now to upgrade champions with mediocre, mid-game gear, right, to be more relatable. So making a full free-to-play series. I've done 2 videos recently. Free-to-play God with my thumbnail artist. I gave all his tips in those videos. And I feel like those would be what I would refer you to, Martins3945, is check out those videos. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. And there's a great community in Raid Shadow Legends that will definitely help you out. Okay, we have, so TLDR is, I'm not saying that I will never make another Raid account, a free-to-play account. But I do want to actually start using my mini account more often in content here, so we have kind of more relatable stuff, and it's not all with that endgame feel. Believe it or not, guys, and I'm sure you'll believe it because it's the internet, but I get an equal amount of complaints saying that I only cater towards endgame players, and that I am unrealistic in like my builds that I use on champions, and it turns people off either way. And it just goes to show you can't please everybody, Ryan Roos says, love your videos. Quick question. Would love to see some alternate teams to beat the hard waves of Doom Tower, not the typical Seer teams. Saw a Reddit post, an interesting team with a Sify Rotos waves using UDK. Perhaps even a speed team for hard waves would be great. Sure. I personally use a Seer team until I can't anymore. Like, even on my account, I'm sure if I optimized everything perfectly, I could get all the way through Doom Tower hard with the Seer team. But around floor 110 or whatever the heck it is, I switch over usually to a just more traditional, slower team. I will say this, man, like, there's a lot of free champions in this game are really dang good. And when you can't get through any sort of content, including Doom Tower waves, I would lean on some of those champions. It depends on how long you've been playing, but like Helicath and Mighty Uko and even Vlad. Like Vlad, I run Vlad and Constantine. Granted, Constantine was never a free champion, but I run them together on some of those hard waves. You could just lock out everybody and then deny revival. But basically, whatever tools you have at your disposal, the number one thing you can do in this game, the worst case scenario, is build stun sets, like stun control, right? Even on very high Doom Tower waves, the accuracy requirement is not out of this world, right? So you can go in there and it doesn't even have to be stun sets, which don't require accuracy, which is nice, right? But it just could be simply, using a Ragash if you have them, using with a Syl the Drakes. Basically, it doesn't even have to be stun. It can be provokes and fears or whatever. But it might not always be the most OP champions on your account that you want to utilize. I think it's funny. The first thing that I did when I ran into a jam on Doom Tower back in the day was I put all my most OP champions together, and it didn't work. Because you need that synergy too, just throwing in a Krisk and a Duchess and a Siphi and a couple DPS isn't always going to work. Sometimes you throw in a bunch of provoked, like a Vizix and, whatever you have at your disposal. But going in with an all-out CC, crowd control strategy, more often than not is a great way. It's not going to be a speed farm all the time, but it's a great way to get through. You can also use poison combust teams like an Eleanor or whatever, Zavia, that you would typically use in dungeons. Least favorite arena champ, and by the way, whenever you see a Rotos, going to the UDK is always a great idea anywhere in the game. Least favorite arena champ to fight or least favorite Doom Tower waves. So, least favorite arena champions to fight. Well, Taurus and Marichka, because I don't have Taurus, so I think you guys probably can relate to this, right? If you go against a champion, you get beat, and you don't have that champion, it doesn't sit too well. You're like, oh yeah, you beat me because you got Taurus, very nice. This is coming from somebody who has, like, everybody else, right? But, like, you still feel that way, ultimately, right? It just goes to show you in this game that no matter how much you spend, no matter how much you play, you're always gonna, in your brain, it's like it's human nature, you're always gonna psychologically focus on what you don't have versus what you do, right? And the magic of life and the game is to focus on what you do have and try to enjoy it to the best of your ability. So Taurus is my least favorite. My most banned is probably, I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place with banned in live arena. I'm not always one to ban Yumeko or Warlord every single time. I like to try to see if I can work around them, or, through various methods, like a Mortu Macabre or something like that, or just go with a nice team that I know can survive a few turns to eventually kill that Warlord Yumeko. I don't really have like everybody else, I don't really enjoy facing Ultimate Death Knight, so I guess there's that, right? I just know it's going to be a long battle, I don't hate UDK, by the way. I just don't. It feels arduous, those fights. Are you going to do some free promotional Raid Shadow Legends giveaway codes sometimes in the foreseeable future for your subscribers? I don't even know. Corey, shout out to Exalted Marauder, by the way. I don't know how I would get my hands on some free giveaway codes, honestly. Maybe you mean like gift cards or something like that. Could absolutely do something like that. Would love to do it if you guys are interested. Just need like a fair methodology, because it's weird whenever you give a giveaway. It's like life. Again, another example of like things that are frustrating. But like whenever I do a giveaway of gift cards in the past, I get people from different regions complaining that they don't work in their regions, and then I try to do a PayPal giveaway, and then people don't have PayPal in different regions, and you just never win, man. People are upset about it either way. In terms of a giveaway code, though, like in game. To my knowledge, if you guys know differently, let me know. But to my knowledge, Raid's never like worked with a creator one-on-one to give them a specific code, but I'll certainly ask. Will you ever stop playing Raid? No plans on stopping. Never say never on anything in life. I've learned that, right? But no plans on stopping to play Raid. I'm not one of those, creators or people in general that's always looking for the next Raid or the next like gacha game. I've invested enough time and money in Raid, and I'm happy enough with the game that I'm content just continuing to play Raid, frankly. That's really it. So no plans on stopping. Will I be playing when I'm 80? I don't know, probably not, but maybe, who knows, right? Will you ever take part in a creator clash like Hydra or Clan Boss clashes that Deadwood hosts? Would really love to see you and join one of those in the future. Munchies, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a pathetic answer, but like to the personal stuff that I spoke about earlier, it's really a time thing for me. Like I see those guys grinding, theory crafting teams on streams for hours, I know I don't have that at all. And I don't want to be that guy who joins like a community tournament and is like, yeah, I can't make any of your meetings. I can't make all these streams. I can't, you know what I'm saying? And I really cherish my time with my kiddo, as I said earlier. Not to use this as an excuse, but it's just a decision that you make in life. Sometimes you have to learn to say no. And I say no to all the one. I think they stopped inviting me now because I've said no so many times. I'm always trying to be like, you know, very gracious about it, but I don't want to commit to anything in life that I know I can't give my all to, and this is certainly would kind of fit in that. Although those are amazing, they're like, it's a way to create fresh content and have a lot of creators kind of collab together. If one day, you know, I'm no longer working my full-time job or my situation changes, I would love to take part in those. I like a wish list on shards. What's your opinion on that? I want that damn coal tar I've been chasing for the past year. I've been playing and nothing. Oh my god, dude. They just need to make a guaranteed coal tar event, you know? And they need to announce it freaking a month in advance at least, you know, so people can actually save their shards or whatever. But anyway, I would love a wish list on shards. You know what? In the last Scratch Cirilla interview, Scratch asked a question of Cirilla. He said, hey, Cirilla's a community manager for Raid. He said, hey, the shards, the 10 times is not cutting it, man. It's not cutting it. We need a bigger chance of getting these champions on these targeted champion events. And Cirilla said, I totally agree with you. We hear you loud and clear. There is going to be a better way to get specific champions in the future. I would love a wish list, you know, because a ×2 wish list on a shard would make a lot of sense. But I don't want to take credit for this idea because I heard it on Mad Capper's channel. Mad Capper brought up the best idea I've ever heard. And that is a mercy for a specific champion. And it can be, I'm taking the words again right out of his mouth. I don't care if it's going to take me a year to do it. Like, it might take a long time. It might be a grind, like 1,000 shards or whatever the heck it is. But I want us to be able to lock in one champion of each rarity that is an individual mercy timer. That eventually, every shard I open, until I get to this number, I'm guaranteed to get that champion. And again, in his words, as somebody who's like, spends money but not a ton on Raid or whatever, you know, he's cool with it being a long haul. But he just wants it to be there, a viable option. Not playing this game feeling like you might like play for 100 years and spend $100,000 and never get the champion, you know? So I think that's a great idea, personally. It's maybe controversial, but I feel like the new update in Raid that was just announced, and we as a community need to hype it. Raid has been toxic for years, or more, and not a lot of positive quality of life things, champs, play, etc., where they just listen to us. With DL being able to be auto, Demon Lord, search filters, and more. And by the way, if you missed it, Cirilla also said that they're going to make an not just auto battle, but an instant click and clan boss is done every day. That's freaking amazing. Search filters, more challenging content, CVC, Hydra. These are just a few things we've been asking for, and they're doing it. I would love to reward them for the behavior that we want. I want to encourage them to listen to us more. Love your content. Also, adding stone skin accessories is nice because it means a new type of accessories later and they aren't OP. It's just nice moving to something that they want without toxic issues. Excited for that. So, yeah, man, I totally agree. You know, there's a lot. I said this in my last opinion video. There's a lot to be upset about in Raid Shadow Legends, you know. Make no apologies for that at all. But there is, kind of to that earlier request of making a video comparing it now to before, there's a lot to be excited and happy about in the game as well. There's been you newer players for the last year or so, maybe a year or 2 years, you don't know how good you guys have it comparatively, you know, when it comes to champion AI or all the stuff they've added. It's just, we forget about a lot of it, frankly. You know, it's easy to get something and then forget about it. So even though no likes, nobody agreed with this positive statement here, I do think that there has been a lot of quality increases to the game. Harrier, kicker of Ash. Get out of here, Harrier! Swogo Gaming. Hey, Ash, question. I was wondering, as a free-to-play player, what should I be doing on a daily basis to maximize the efficiency of gathering resources, keep potions, gear, and expand my roster, obtaining more legendaries and ranking up characters I already own? First off, great question. You know, in terms of expanding roster, right? You get a lot of great free champions in this game. It's the truth now. Talk about quality of life stuff, right? There didn't used to be a Scylla the Drix. There didn't used to be a Vizix. There didn't used to be a Grush or a Mithrala or a Lydia or any of these champions that now are at least realistically accessible after a certain amount of time playing this game. So all those champions will expand your roster just by playing. I think it's all about energy efficiency and energy management, especially as a free-to-play player. You should be doing all the things in the game every day that, you know, without inconveniencing your personal or whatever life, right? But every day that you play, you should be striving to complete the things that don't cost energy, right? First, every day. So that would be Demon Lord, right? And then you can get your hands on the most scarce resources in the game, which is books and shards, right? It's the best way to get those. So working on your clan boss team ought to be a priority, and you get those keys for free every day, right? Same thing with faction wars, free keys every day. Same thing with your arena battles, Great Hall farming for free every day, right? So these are things that are free in the game you should take advantage of. Then when it comes to energy efficiency, the finite resources that you have that replenishes every day, you should use that in double dipping as much as humanly possible, right? So focus on dungeon farming and artifact farming for a dungeon when there's an event or a tournament going on, right? Sometimes you can even triple dip. So that way you're getting bonus rewards at the same time that you're farming, right? When you get to the level in the mid game as a free-to-play player where you're able to, you know, clear a dungeon easily on auto, when you auto farm on your account with the free auto battles that you get every day, didn't used to be that back in the day either, right? When you get those auto battles, right, use them again, trying to double dip efficiency-wise with the event or tournament, but also try to get in a food champion in there, right? Try to do some farming for food at the same time that you're doing your dungeon runs. Whether a run takes you 2 minutes or 4 minutes, it might not matter if you're just going to have your device on auto runs in the background somewhere anywhere, or if you had the Plarium PC client just running in the background, you're not going to matter about an extra half an hour, even an extra hour of time at the end of the day, right? So go ahead and take advantage there of everything you can in terms of efficiency. How are you? I'm relatively new, so I'm guessing Plarium has considered to fund collabs with another game, movies, or comics. Also, if the company plans to remove the absolutely greedy function of charging money for changes or unequipped artifacts. Well, Raphael, absolutely, bro. You are 100% right. I think that if I was going to say, like, this is just me, you can agree or disagree, but if there's one thing in the game they can easily do that would make the biggest overall impact on all players in the game in terms of their enjoyment and progression inside the game, it would be removing artifact cost to remove, or removing the silver cost to remove artifacts. Part of the most enjoyable thing in this game is building different artifacts, if, you know, changing them, changing their builds for different areas of the game, all of this stuff that comes with the versatility of how we can build any single champion in this game or any single team in this game. So the biggest thing that gets in the way of that fun, that enjoyment, from what I hear to you guys like building teams way more than you like staring at the same thing again and again and again. That goes back to the time issue we started this video on. But the biggest hurdle there is the disgusting silver fees. Like talking like $1 million-ish silver to remove accessories and artifacts from a champion if they're 6-star, you know? That's ridiculous. It's crazy. Crossover collabs. It's a really neat idea. They certainly have the money to do it. I would suspect, I have nothing to go on here, but the marketing of Raid Shadow Legends is saturated, to say the least. It's been 4 years and they market better and more aggressively than any other mobile game out there, right? To their credit. That's why we have this great community. Odds are that you've heard about this game through some sort of advertisement, or through some friend or family member who heard about it through some sort of advertisement, whether it be on TV or through an influencer you watch, a creator that you watch, whatever, you know? Anyway, they've been doing such a great job of that, but I think they're hitting a saturation point. I think most people have heard, in their target demo at least, most people have heard of Raid Shadow Legends. Now they need to think of new ways to appeal to a wider audience, and I think one of the best ways to do so would be through thoughtful and creative collaboration with games or movies or comics or strong IPs, right? So who knows? Maybe they will move in that direction. To me, it makes sense from a marketing's perspective. Okay, we have 8 in Merc. What daily login characters are worth building, and what gear should I put on them and stats to prioritize? Well, I do have guides on almost every daily login champion so far on my other channel. It's called Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guide, so I would refer you to there in terms of how to build these champions. However, gosh, there's a lot of good ones, right? Haikatoon is worth building. She's amazing. We have Syl the Drakes, obviously, with Grush the Mangler, Dark Elhain, Visix the Unbowed. I know I'm forgetting a few, but like those are daily logins who are absolutely worth building, right? And then it just keeps getting better. If you go like years into the game, you'll have a better understanding of what's worth it. But like champions like Eric's later on are great that you get from daily logins. Heck, we even have some people having success with Gerda Bogbrew, right? Who's a daily login champion. I'm not a big fan of Lordly Legionary, so I would pass on him personally. There's a couple other passes in there as well. Also, there's like a lot of good campaign farmable champions out there like War Maiden, and I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with them, but you know, right in campaign you can pick up a War Maiden, some other really solid champions as well, right? So I think that those are the champions that I would prioritize building. In terms of stat priorities, again, I'm not going to go over them all, but suffice it to say, the number one mistake people make, especially early game in building these champions, is focusing on everything but survivability and accuracy, right? Keep in mind, speed, accuracy, and being able to stay alive is instrumental to every champion in this game who has debuffs on accuracy, right? Again, there's niche exceptions, but especially daily login champions, you know, we want to just read their kit, read what they do, and try to think about what stats you'll need, and then try to prioritize those stats. Banner is one of the best resources in the game in terms of the a vehicle to get the stats that you need on your champion, especially accuracy and resistance, stuff like that. Can you touch more of the Great Hall? What strat that you follow in order, like accuracy and then maybe crit damage and resistance? So I'm of the mind that accuracy and resistance, because it's not percentage base, gives you the best value in terms of sheer value. That's not to say that you're necessarily going to want to prioritize resistance, because it's also probably a stat that is more niche in a broad sense than some of the other ones there. So that's up to you to kind of juggle. The good news is despite what some people might say, I don't think there's a way that you're going to ruin your account or mess up your game through the Great Hall, right? Because eventually your goal is to max out the Great Hall anyway. So if you are watching this video and you're like, oh crap, I did this first, it's not the end of the world. It's not worth stressing out over, certainly. But that being said, accuracy, how I did my Great Hall was accuracy. I think I went defense percentage second, then I went resistance. Then there's also the argument of like maybe just like evening everything out, like taking it to level 6 or whatever first, you know? But I did accuracy, defense percentage, and then resistance, I think. The only advice I have, other than that, is I would definitely save attack percentage till the very end, you know? Or at least maxing it till the very end, because attack percentage, we said it so many times here on the channel, so I'm sorry for repeating it, but it only impacts a small category of champions, right? Compared to the overall catalog of champions in the game. Whereas every other stat benefits everybody in the game. You know, so I want that utilitarian approach to my Great Hall. I want the best impact, the best overall positive impact for the most champions possible. And attack only affects attack-based champions, whereas even attack-based champions can benefit from more defense and HP. You can keep 5 of your champs. The rest get deleted. Who you taking? Ooh. I would go with the champions that I use most in Live Arena, because they're generally incredibly good in other areas of the game as well. So that would be Marichka, Siphi. Actually, I lied. Acresia, even though it's not Live Arena. So let's see. Siphi, Marichka, Acresia, Seer? No, because I can get Seer easily. She's probably one of my most used, but so then I would go Yumeko, and what do I got? Seer? I got Seer. Acresia, Yumeko, Siphi, and Marichka. And then I might go with a Krisk. I'd probably go so Krisk the Ageless, because even though if all my other champions got deleted, even though Krisk is not my most used champion or anything like that right now, if all my other champions got deleted, he brings so much to the table that could fill in every other gap, right? So that's where I would go. Okay, Ultimate Death Knight is terrible for the game. In nearly every arena defense, he makes fights way longer than they need to be, terrible animations, and the fact that the champion is everywhere is such a troll on the community. Oh, man. I picked him out as my most annoying champion to face in the arena, or one of, right? Him and Taurus, right? But that being said, as I actually, again, as maybe it's a glass half full, glass half empty, I hear you loud and clear. That being said, I think it's also like one of the coolest things that Plarium has ever done to the game. Giving somebody a champion that is that powerful, that you can use him in the arena, and basically, at least for me on my mini account, can use him in almost every dungeon. I feel like it was, oftentimes we complain about there's no catch-up mechanics for new players in this game, but at the same time, is releasing champions like Ultimate Death Knight for free for everybody is a catch-up mechanic in this game. So I guess I respectfully disagree, even though you're right, he is annoying. But I don't think he's terrible for the game. Anyway, how much longer do you think Raid will be this big of a game? I guess it's how do you find this big of a game? I think that the lifespan for Raid Shadow Legends will go at least 5 years. I've been in the mobile gaming industry for, again, a long time, working in it for 9 years, but playing mobile games beyond that. And I've noticed that, you know, big, strong, massive player-based games from big companies tend to last a lot longer than we think. I would give you Clash of Clans and Summoner's War. Heck, even like older games like some of the old Space Ape games. I'm drawing a blank on the names. But like some of these games, even if they're not absolutely booming, they're in existence. I mean, there's a little game called Gods of Olympus. Check it out. I worked with the developers years and years ago. They're such great people. But that game's a small indie game. It's been up there for like 8 years or so now. I think the lifespan of a game is a lot longer than we tend to think, especially when there's such a passionate community always pointing out the issues in the game. So TLDR, I think that Raid can easily be this big of a game for another 5 years. I think it can be this big of a game for another 10 years if they come up with an incredibly robust social aspect and element to this game. Meaning, you know, the answer was for Clash of Clans 5 years into the game's lifespan, which is around where we are with Raid, Clan Wars, you know. A way to really improve the social dynamic will keep players playing longer, will keep the players playing longer, especially when they're disenfranchised with the state of the game. So I think that's what this game needs in the long term. Raid got way too repetitive and too far time consuming. I ended up deleting the game. You spent an ungodly amount of time doing everything and it felt like more of a 9-to-5 job. Loved the game. But the return of investment is very low. Still a super diehard supporter of Ash, though. Hey, Darian, thank you so much, man. That is my last comment. I hate to end on a bad note, but it's a positive note, too. And again, I guess I'll end with kind of one of the sentiments that I expressed in the beginning of this video, and that is, if you're in that sort of a situation where it's too repetitive, time-consuming, and it's making you feel crappy, then definitely, totally, you know, I appreciate your views, and I appreciate you stopping by here on the channel, but I would never, ever encourage anybody to continue or to stick it out playing a video game. That's an oxymoron. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. It was a longer video than I intended, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it a little bit. And as always, take care, guys.